not nice. Like, how do you deal with that?
Mm,
Because it's so not black and white. There's such a gray area. And that's why I could
yeah.
never have the patience to do your job because I like black and white and you're like it could be all over the place depending on how their interpretation is of something or whatnot. How do you like deal with that and combat that so that it doesn't create like
Mm.
so much rework where it's like, oh my God, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to change this. Like I couldn't do that. Like your tolerance or patience, or maybe you're really good at it where it doesn't happen. I just want to know how you deal with that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love this question. And it's funny because when I first dove into the world of design, even as a student, I went to art school to study design. My first thought was, how the heck are they going to grade us if everyone's taste is so subjective? Like, what if
Yeah.
my prof's taste is different from what my design style is? Does that mean I'm just going to fail his course? Right. Like, that was
Yeah.
literally the first thought that I had going in. And it wasn't until I learned more about the way design is that I realized it is there's an element that's very subjective, but there actually is a part of it that is very black or white, where, and I'll explain this and then I'll kind of backtrack it into my process, where when it comes to design, there's actually a level of priority when it comes to the decisions that we make for a design. And so the top priority, like this is the one thing that you shouldn't break, is, are we actually communicating what is meant to be communicated? So there's certain there's like a checklist that is involved with that. So one
Mhm.
of the things is your text legible? Can people freaking read your content, or do they just, is like, is the font that you picked so scripty and loopy that people don't even know what they're reading? So it's an accessibility question. Can people even read your darn content? That's like the cardinal sin. Don't ever break it. I don't care if it looks ugly, people have to be able to read it. That's the very first thing, non-negotiable. Another thing is, when it comes to accessibility, is it easy for people to um, understand what is being communicated from this design? And then where the subjectivity comes is how we do use certain design devices to communicate. And so when it comes to the thing that is priority, we don't want to, for example, use colors that make people go blind when they look at the design. We're not going to
Mhm.
use like green and red at super saturated colors, everything overlapping on top of each other.
Mhm.
That some people might think that is good design, but when it comes to the priority and the hierarchy of design, it's illegible. People are not going to be able to look at it without having a migraine. They can't read the text. And so, no, the answer is no. I don't care what your taste is. The design didn't do its job because it wasn't able to communicate
Yeah.
what was meant to be communicated. So, that's always
Okay.
like the first order of priority. Then
Yeah.
everything is a sliding scale. And that's where we could talk about subjectively, how do we actually communicate XYZ? And so when it comes to working with clients, I actually like to front load all of the expectation setting at the very beginning, where instead of me and them kind of playing like this game of hide and go seek, where we're
Yeah.
chasing each other in circles, I'm trying to understand them and they're trying to understand the decisions that I'm making. I actually have this process, and it's part of my onboarding process, where I ask a client to share with me upfront everything that they have right now. So, like I get to gauge what we're working with. And I actually upfront ask them to share inspiration pictures with me. And I have
Uh,
very specific instructions. I'm like, instead of me trying to ask you using words, which is a different medium, using a different medium to understand what lives inside of your head, why don't I just get you to show me, right? Like, just show me a few pictures. And of course, the more data points that we have, the easier I could start to see patterns. The more images that you share with me, the better of an understanding that I have of what your personal tastes are. What do you like? What do you dislike? It becomes very clear once I take a look at whatever they
yeah.
upload. And so
Yeah.
it
So those
it sounds
inspirational
really
pictures,
simple.
are they design elements or websites they like? Are there images they like and styles that they like? Is it a combination of different types of images that gives them inspiration and then from there you get a clearer and clearer idea of like how to create something for them creatively? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so I have a specific like specific buckets where I ask people to upload things into. So I'm like, share with me like 5 to 10 images of things that you like. So it could be pictures, it could be graphics or just images of things, share 5 to 10 with me of things that just really make you happy when you look at them. It doesn't have to be any rhyme or reason, just things that you
Okay.
really like.
Yeah.
And then I ask them about colors, and I know people are very peculiar about their colors, so I'm like, here, take a few screenshots of some colors that you really like or some palettes that you like, send all of those my way. Same thing with fonts, and then same thing for logos. And so I do have specific categories that help me with nailing down, specifically when it comes to branding, what is their color palette going to be? What's the style of the imagery? What is their logo going to look like? And
Mm.
it's actually it's very effective. Like, I collect everything, and if everything's good, I don't actually have to make a whole lot of adjustments. I just present it back to them, and I'm like, all right, this is what your logo style is going to look like because you just told me that you like it, and there's a clear
Yeah.
pattern between the images that you've uploaded. So once you break it down and you share it back to them, it's kind of like there's no questions, because at that point, whatever I create
Understand.
is just the custom designed version of what they have already shared with me. So it's
Yeah, so you're
mind
eliminating
reading.
that subjectivity with
Mm,
gathering their information, and then from there you have a framework in place, and then from there you give them a presentation, and then it eliminates
mm.
that subjectivity where it's like, okay, this is what you told me, this is what I'm how interpreting it, this is it, this is based on your taste, and most of
Yeah.
the time, I'm assuming most of the time they're like, yeah, that's good, or they might have little changes here and there, but they're not so
Mm.
extreme where it's like you're like way off.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
I'm literally just showing them what they shared with me. I'm like, is it good? And they're like, yeah, it's good, because they're the
Okay.
ones who uploaded it. So it's this funny thing that I do. It's like mind reading with clients, but when in
Yeah.
reality, I'm just like, well, just show me what you like. And then once I see it, it's very easy for me to see the patterns and then fill in the gaps for them. So
Yeah.
it's a very
Yeah.
smart process that I've developed over
Yeah.
the
And that's
years.
something that, I mean, what you have is a skill set that nobody could duplicate. Like you make it sound simple, but for a person
Mm,
that's not trained, they can't do that. So that's the value that you provide to be able to interpret their likes and all the different like image types or whatever, and then translate it
mm,
into something that's going to truly work for them. So that in itself is a skill set that shouldn't be undervalued for sure. So
absolutely.